Greetings and peace. I would like to start this with the greeting of the Nur Fatimiyya Sufi order, which is Nur Alaikum, upon you be light. Bismillah, in the name of Allah, and Assalamu Alaikum. Peace be with you and yours. Today's presentation I would like to do on the goal of the unwise, which is by Sheikh Wahid Azal, and it is a part 2. And part 1, you've seen the presentation that I did, which was a refutation of Abdullah Hashem and the AROPL cult, the Ahmadi religion of peace and light. So this is the goal of the unwise, which is a rebuttal to the goal of the wise that Abdullah Hashem has put out, which is just plagiarized nonsense that he's taken from a variety of different sources, including Sheikh Wahid Azal himself. So without further ado, I will do a book review of the teachings of this part 2 that Sheikh Wahid has put out. I represent myself only as a free man under free speech, under entertainment, education, and non-profit purposes. Thank you. The goal of the unwise, its main goal is the mystical refutation of the AROLP, which is the Ahmadi religion of light and peace. In its prologue, it's a call to refute. It is a follow-up to Wake Up, a fatwa and epistle in refutation of Abu al-Kazib. And Abu al-Kazib means the father of lies in Arabic, who is Abdullah Hashem. This book serves as a deep refutation of the cult AROLP and its leader Abdullah Hashem. And I'll put the link in the description below where the Sheikh has made this available for free. The methodology blends esoteric, hermeneutics, critical theory, and theological polemic. Now this cult of Abdullah Hashem, the AROLP, is denounced as a modern techno-capitalist cult. Its doctrines are framed as manufactured and deceptive. Its rise is attributed to broader neoliberal and imperial mechanisms. Now this cult, it functions like a spiritual simulacrum, devoid of authenticity. It's linked to the society of the spectacle, replacing real spirituality with images. Manipulated perceptions supplant divine reality. Now, this whole situation, it shows that this character, Abdullah Hashem, is a Western intelligence psyop and asset. And when YouTube was fairly new back in 2008, I had followed all of this original work, such as the TADS series, which is the Antichrist Dajjal will be a shape-shifting reptilian, and then the Arrival series with Noriega. I followed all of this since day one. And then there came a time where he just disappeared. And I always wondered, like, okay, what happened? Because he was trying to put the truth out, with Abdullah Hashem. And I think there was something that happened which caused him to be who he is now. And he's now being used as a Western intelligence psyop. And I have to call it out as such. Just like I'm not the only one. All of the people originally who followed all of this since day one, they have all spoken out against this. There's even a few YouTube channels that had the arrivals and all of the stuff, the original stuff that's still up there on YouTube, and they themselves are denouncing Abdullah. So yep, that is the unfortunate truth that we're dealing with. Sheikh Wahid Azal also teaches us about the Cessner group, which is exactly a Sabbatean Frankist front. It defends cults and fringe religious movements under a scholarly guise. And of course, its ties to the Roman Catholic agendas are emphasized in the book by Sheikh Wahid. And that's exactly what it is, even if you look at the AROPL, right? I mean, it's registered in Reno, Nevada, in America, and also headquartered in Crewe, England. And some of its filings, the form filings, shows that it has revenue generation up to millions of dollars. And there are shadowy investors that are there. So this is basically like a ideological techno black ops startup company where all of a sudden this guy has access to the media and he's going viral And in my experience, because I've been a part of many different organizations as well, for those that have followed my work, the ones that usually have that kind of access, or they gain the attention, or the algorithm is circulating them, they are the enemy. And Abdullah Hashem and the cult is no exception. And of course, all roads lead to Rome, as Cessna is also tied to elements of that Roman power structure, as we see with the Jesuits and all of the other elements that come out of that Roman power structure, which is still there today. Now, the Roman Catholic Church is traced as the origin of theological white supremacy. Papal bulls like the Dom de Varsas laid imperial and racist foundations. The Reconquista and Inquisition institutionalized religious racism. And that's exactly what it is, with Christianity originally being an Eastern faith, how we see with the Orthodox Christians and how they operate. But the Roman Catholicism and what the Western white supremacy did was they hijacked that Eastern religion and used it for its own gain. Because if you look at the faith, it teaches you to love and respect everyone, be humble, serve all humanity, elements that we find in Islam, right? So there was a hijacking and a satanic inversion of the Christian faith. Church decrees like Inter Caetera justified colonialism and land theft. These legal fictions still influence Western imperial law today. Spiritual conquest was the cloak for physical domination. The Vatican is described as the historic and spiritual axis of global corruption. Frankism is seen as absorbed into Catholic institutions. Abu al-Kazib, the father of lies, aka Abdullah Hashem, is cast as a diversion from deeper church-led manipulation, as the Cessna group is tied to the far-right Roman Catholic institutions and agencies in Rome. Now, the book that Abdullah Hashem put out, The Goal of the Wise, Sheikh Wahid shows that that book is described as pseudo-spiritual totalitarianism, and a lot of its elements, it plagiarizes and dumps down sacred traditions, and its goal is said to be the replacement of God with man. And many of the satanic societies that we see today, I mean, they're all telling you the same thing, that you are God. Sheikh Wahid Azal beautifully dissects this goal of the wise nonsense in this book, that the internal text of the AROLP is shown to be plagiarized and shallow. It undermines the cult's legitimacy completely. Its esotericism is accused of being deceptive and manipulative. Now, the psychoanalysis of Abu al-Kazib, the father of lies, Abdullah Hashem, he has a fixation on semen and control, which reveals like deeper psychological pathologies. Sexual symbolism is interpreted as reflective of cult control. His spiritual claims are psychosexual projections. And it's not only me that's saying this, or Sheikh Wahid, but anytime you look up fake gurus, there's always like a sexual manipulation and exploitation of their followers. And it's like that guy in Oregon, right? That Hindu guy that showed up and he wanted his own sovereign state in Oregon, Bhagwan Rajshri or something like that, right? And he was doing the same exact thing. And there was a woman who had emailed me as well. And after I did the review of Sheikh Wahid Azal's first part of this book, and she was saying the same thing, that this Abu al-Kazib, Abdullah Hashem, has been sexually exploiting his female followers. So, again, please have some common sense. Humanity, as much as I try to have faith in humanity, it always falls astray and shows itself to be a species that's ready to be manipulated and misled. So please have some common sense. And of course, the nonsense of reincarnation that this cult is putting out there, reincarnation is critiqued by Sheikh Wahid using Mullah Sadra's metaphysics. The Bayani sources also reject reincarnation as flawed by its doctrine. The AROLP's adoption of it's seen as another sign of deviation. The reality is that this AROLP is a startup cult founded by Abu Kazib, Abdullah Hashem, in 2015. It mimics the structure of a tech startup with a spiritual branding. Financing is opaque, possibly involving investors and intelligence ties, as there are revenue reports of this cult which show that it raked in millions of dollars. From what source, right? It uses media and social tech for rapid ideological dissemination. And Abdullah does have a background being a producer and having a studio. So he can probably, or he believes that he can pull it off, where you have the villain from Iron Man 3 who was kind of doing the same thing. Again, back to Cessner, the cult defenders, the cult lobby. Cessner is revealed to support and defend numerous fringe cults. It monetizes relationships with such groups for institutional influence. Its links to both the church and right-wing political interest are noted. The AROLP is seen as a neoliberal experiment in mass manipulation. Its funding mirrors venture capitalist startups for ideological ROI. A church empire capital nexus underpins its structure. And look at Western intelligence, whether it's the British or the French. And I consider the Americans, part of that poison as well. Just white Western intelligence agencies. This is not something new. Like all of the stuff that they try to do with the world of Islam, starting from Lawrence of Arabia up until this point, they've always been doing this since day one, where they always try to create sectarian difference and try to infiltrate and compromise Islam with different sects and leaders, different movements. And what we're seeing today is not something that's new. They've been doing it since day one. Sheikh Wahid Azal is basically emphasizing the ethical call to resist. Muslims and mystics are called to resist all forms of false gnosis. The fight is framed as cosmic and eschatological, and true tradition must rise against synthetic spirituality. We must wake up and resist. The battle is intellectual, spiritual, and historical. The deception of AROLP is a sign of larger patterns of control. Knowledge and spiritual clarity are the antidotes, and common sense. Thank you for walking the path of truth. Stay awake, stay rooted. Thank you for watching. I'll put the link in the description below where you can get the book, where Sheikh Wahid has made it available for free. And again, I represent myself only as a free man under free speech, under education, entertainment, and non-profit purposes. If any questions or comments, please email me at salmansheikh911@gmail.com. And all images and information used were retrieved from public domain searches and are the rightful property of their respective owners. The images used in this video are for the purpose of non-profit awareness and education, which is protected by the copyright laws of fair use education purpose. All my videos are for non-profit and education purposes. Thank you. All rights reserved.